Everyone, hope you're having a fantastic day. Let's go ahead and make sure you all can hear me. If you'd please go into the chat box, not the Q&A, the chat box, and type in the number 1 to let me know that you can. 1 for yes, 2 for no. I would greatly appreciate it. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen here. Wonderful. Yes, Jim, you are correct. Monday is a holiday. We just had this conversation in my one of our meetings today, talking about that. We want to make sure we get it off of the schedule on Monday for next week. So there will be no power hour and there will be no E-mini Think Tank next week. It is a market holiday. We close for all market holidays. So you are correct in that. Hey, Brenda, how you doing? Daniel, good afternoon. Kevin, everything is okay here. We just got our final person, got their results. My wife got her COVID test results today as negative. I got mine on Saturday that I was negative, Sunday, sorry. And my daughter got hers as well. She got a test on Saturday and hers came back negative. So the Roy household as of today is good. My oldest daughter has gotten 2 tests back in the last 3 days because of the trials that she's in at the hospital. So she came back as negative. So all is good, Kevin. Thank you for that. Hey, John, good afternoon. Yeah, thanks, Kevin. Yeah, it is great news. Thanks, Jim. Yep, absolutely. I'm excited to get the results back. Now we just start the mess all over again and see who you come in contact with. We'll see, right? We'll see. All right, so as we go through the training today, remember everything we do is for educational purposes only. Nothing is meant to be advice and or recommendations, right? We will talk about trading as if they are all non-funded trades because that's what we are legally allowed to discuss is non-funded trades. So the whole idea here is to help make you a better trader. I love the $6 million man motto, better, stronger, faster, right? I love that idea, that concept behind it. Some of you going, the $6 million man, what the heck is that? Today'd be the $60 million man, but just go look it up if you don't know. All right. No, Jim, we don't hold it. We're closed. The markets are closed. Those are the holidays that Wealth Builders takes off as a company. So it's market holidays that we take off. So our markets are closed. So we shut down completely on Monday. All right, excellent. So we got a couple things coming up here. Premium workshops. We've got Trading You, which is on the 13th. Monster Market Movers is on the 14th. Inner Circle is on the 21st. For this week, Power Option Plays, Covered Call Explorer, E-mini Think Tank are all on the regularly scheduled program. For next week, again, we won't have the E-mini on Monday. You got free workshops coming up. You've got Power Hour coming up on December, listen to me. Coming up every Monday at noon. Key to be free on January 24th. That is a Sunday at 1 p.m. And Trouble with the Trend coming up on January 20th and 27th. And I didn't see it on our calendar. So let me actually fix it right here for you. It's 12 and 8 p.m. Brandon's doing 2 a day for that. So 12 p.m. and 8 p.m. Key to free will is just that. How do we free you up from your life, to get you free from having to do the things that you have to do and get you into the things that you want to do. It is the same key to freeze that we've done before, so nothing's really changed. I get it, Will. I get it. Me too. I'm not in church most of the Sunday. I get the 9 a.m.s, but yeah, no, it's what we've done before, right? Trouble with the Trend is Brandon on his e-minis, right? You can check all these out, folks. If you go over to the calendar as an example, and you click on any one of these, right? Trouble with the Trend, you'll have a page that pops up, and you can register for the Trouble with the Trend that you want to, and so forth, right? So that's the way you'll see them all. There is one training that I do not have on here. Well, Mastermind Group is coming up on Tuesday. Well, there's one training that I do not have on here. We're working on getting a banner for it. We may or may not have it by the time we're done here today. Amy, can you drop that link in for me, please? Thank you. So there's a Trader Summit that's coming up. It is next, well, it's this month. Let me get my calendar open so I can see the exact dates. I will be teaching on the 18th at this summit. Let's see, the 18th of January. No, it starts on the 18th. I'll be teaching on the 20th at 4 p.m. Write that down. January 20th, 4 p.m. is when I am teaching. This summit is going to have, I think it's 60 of the best trading coaches in the world will be on this training, right? It is hosted by what is called Wealth 365. Is the name of the company. Rob Hoffman is the owner. I know Rob very well. I've never taught for them before. Ironically, they are doing what they're calling the best of the best. So they're only bringing on what they feel are the best coaches that have been on their show before. I've never been on their show before, yet I was asked to come on anyway. They ran into some of our stuff and contacted me and said, yeah, you need to be on this show. We haven't seen you yet. We need to get you on, right? They know exactly what I do. What I do. I've taught with Rob in the same venue with Rob at the Traders Expo. I've been on stage with him at the same expo. So go ahead and get yourself registered for it, guys. Remember, my personal one is Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. But go ahead and register yourself to get in there, period, and check it out, guys. You're going to see a lot of great stuff. There are, I think it's, and I may be off a little bit on the number, but I'm fairly confident that it's $65,000 of prizes that they're giving away from there. We alone are giving away $3,000 in prizes. So if it was $60,000, that would be $1,000 per coach. If they're having 60 coaches, for me, we're giving 3 of it away, right? $3,000 of Wealth Builders tools we're giving away for free. So, and that's for 3 lucky individuals. So make sure you check that link out. Yeah, Wendy said it's a very informative event. Great speakers. Absolutely, Wendy, it is. It's a good event. I've not had time in the past to do anything with it. And this month, this year I finally do. So I'm on there for the very first time. And again, they're calling it the best of the best. So I've not been there before, but I'll be there. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right. So make sure you check that out. Just joined with the link. Appreciate that, Larry. Excellent. Yeah, guys, use that link so they know where you came from, that you came from us, from Wealth Builders. You're going to see some emails come out over the next couple of days as well. If you have a problem, you don't get registered, you forgot, whatever it is, just shoot an email to us. We'll get you that link over so they know that it came over from us. That'd be great. All right. From here, we've got the follow us page. Make sure that you do, and I mean follow us, right? Follow along with what we're doing out there. It's the social media component of what we do is so important right now in the market. So make sure that you're checking that stuff out. Appreciate it, Robert, and all of you that are clicking register, Don. I'm not saying anything about that, Robert, at all. So we're okay. But that is an interesting concept. I would definitely bring that up to Brandon. All right. Very good. So let's take a look at the actual markets first. So we're down 72 points on the Dow. We're down 87 points on the NASDAQ. And we are down 13 points on the S&P 500. So if we look, no S. It's just $ SPX.X. All right. If you look, you can see the drop we've had. You can see the nice climb that took place in there. We've gotten above the moving averages. We got the moving average cross. We've had a bit of a pullback, although we're into the lunchtime right now. So overall, not as bad as it had been. We've definitely seen some recovery so far today, right? Same thing, you look at the daily chart, you could see that where we got down to and where we are now, if we could stay above that 3,800 level, tremendous, right? To just not have Friday be a here kitty kitty. I mean, Friday again was all-time highs, was closing highs. We're rocking. I mean, it's not, we have not really slowed down at this point. There's, the misfortune of wrong word. The absolute friggin' disaster of what happened at the Capitol was wrong. no matter which side it was, whether you believe it was Antifa, whether you believe it came from Trump, wherever it came from, it was absolutely unequivocally wrong, right? Period. But we're seeing now, and you guys need to take notice of this, we're seeing now that big tech is stepping out there and saying you are not allowed to see these types of things. And what I mean by that is when they go ahead and both Apple and Google both go ahead and take apps out of their store, Parler, as an example, is wrong, absolutely wrong, right? So Twitter banning accounts, I'm not saying they shouldn't, absolutely not saying that. Here's what I am saying. If you're going to selectively decide what can and cannot be published on your network, then you are now a news outlet and you are responsible for every bit of detail that goes up on your network. So I am really hoping that, I forget what it was called, that's Rule 25 or something, which oversees the news outlets. If anybody knows what it is, drop it in there. 320. Okay, 230. Okay, so I got 230 and I got 320. So apparently my numbers are off, but Trip and Robert, one of you got an invert. No, it's not 420. I know. 230, Nancy said. Okay. Section 230, 230, 230. Okay, good. But you can't selectively choose. Well, not this, but that. Something is going to have to be done. One of my resolutions is to stop using gunners and shouldas and wouldas and couldas, right? Stuff like that, things like that. They've got to come up with a plan of how, right? I agree. You can't go into a movie theater and scream fire. It's illegal, right? And that's exactly what has to not happen. But you also can't just selectively say we're not letting your post go through. It basically, if you don't think so, folks, it basically moves towards socialism. And if you are unsure, just move to China, stay there a month, and try to use the internet and tell me what you think. Right? Tell me what you think of how Google stepped away because they would not ban certain information coming through. They wouldn't get it approved through the Chinese government first before they'd allow it to show. Right? It is definitely into the socialism realm when you start blocking news outlets, news agencies start selectively choosing what they will and will not publish. Right? But with all of that being said, we hit all-time highs. The pullback today there's lots of hype and hoopla. Are they going to impeach Trump or not? Are they going to invoke the 25th Amendment? Are they going to, is Pence going to do this? Is this one going to do that? Yeah, worse than socialism, it's authoritarian. I can't even say the word. Authoritarianism. Yeah, it's just socialism doesn't work whether you like it or not. I understand. Listen, if you are an individual that financially your family suffers, meaning you just don't make enough money, and I'm not saying that anybody ever should be in that situation. You may look at some of these things and say, listen, I welcome it. I need the money, I need this, I need that. I get it. I promise you, when you move into the place where you have money, that's not the place you want to be. Unless you are the Bill Gateses of the world, the Bezoses of the world, the Warren Buffetts of the world, you do not want that type of an environment to live in. It changes very, 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 very quickly on what your freedoms are. Yeah, it should be Section 8, mentally unfit, like in the military. Yeah, and it is financially unfit, right? Because Section 8, I have Section 8 housing in Buffalo. We actually asked for it. We try to bring people in that are Section 8 because Section 8, believe it or not, I have better control over my tenants. That when the state pays the rent, they choose the rent, the dollar amount. There's a set of rent. But if a tenant damages an apartment, they pay to fix it. The tenant's thrown out of the program, right? At least in upstate New York. So I welcome that type of stuff, but it's financial problems that people have in that Section 8. Explain socialism. Just go look it up, Brenda. It's just, China is a socialist country. They control everything. Basically what happens is the middle class goes away, the wealthy get wealthier, and the middle class move down into the poor. If you're upper middle class, you might barely scratch the bottom of the wealthy, but you break it up from three groups to two. From those that are from what would be called poor, right, or middle class, or wealthy, right? And then even it actually takes away realistically the middle class and the wealthy, and either you go to ultra wealthy or you go back down to poor. I mean, it's just because Those that are in the wealthy category, I'm not talking about the Bezos. If Bezos has to pay 40% of his income or 60% of his income, he's not going to be on food stamps, right? You take someone that makes 150 grand a year, now they got to pay 60% of their income away. They may not be on food stamps, but they're surely not living the lifestyle they were because they can't afford it any longer. And the guys like Bezos, they know how to protect their money and to hide it and make sure that you never pay those high taxes. Listen, we've had 90% tax rates in this country before. Can anybody tell me how many people have paid, when we had the 90% tax rate, how many people do you think paid 90%? Is it 1 million? Is it 100,000? How many people do you think actually paid 90%? Right, true. Yeah, Jack Ma's in the ultra wealthy there, Joan, for sure. Right, so I'll tell you, I know it's a guess. Some of you are like, I have no idea. Zero. Not one person ever paid the tax rate. There was a reporter that went back and he did the research on every single bit of that tax increase, and no one's ever paid it. Social Security started out as a tax on the wealthy, and now the poorest of the poor have to pay their Social Security tax. All right, it's only a way for the government to start. And we're not going to tax anybody that's making less than $400,000. You watch. That may be today. But what you don't realize is, as that business owner has to pay higher taxes because they're going to nail businesses, purposely driving more business offshore, as that business owner has to pay more in taxes, McDonald's had to go and hire less people and get more automation in because they couldn't afford to pay all these people any longer. And I'm not saying people don't deserve a fair salary, folks. But if you're working in a McDonald's, you're not doing it for a living. At least you shouldn't be. Right? You should be doing it because you're going to college, and unless you're a manager in there, you should be doing it because you're going to college. It shouldn't be you can support a family, and that's what was poked around the other day by this Ocasio ding dong. You should be able to support your family on any job that you have. No. You're a teenager living at home. You don't need to support your family. You need to be able to get enough cash in your pocket to get on the bus and go to school. Right? Other than that, it's craziness. All right. See, Brenda, you see what you did now? You're pushing me over the edge with this stuff. Jack Ma is Chinese and hasn't been heard from in a couple of months. Yeah, I didn't realize that, Joan. Yeah, Dennis. Wait. No, it's not today on the $400,000. It was pre-election only. Oh, great. The income tax initially was only on those who made more than $50,000 in 1913 at 10% rate, Larry said. Yeah. And what is done at the Capitol was wrong. Absolutely. I'm not even reading the rest of it there, Jim. Dead wrong. Never should have happened. Ever. Happened, condoned, none of it. Period. Was wrong. But when we look back in U.S. history in a few months or years, that might have been the start of a civil war. There are people in the U.S. that are not going to stand for this communication being brought in like this. Absolutely. And that was my conversation with my girls the other day is, built into the Constitution, the right to bear arms is so we can make sure government doesn't do this stupid crap. And I'm not saying what happened there, but government doesn't do things they're not supposed to. And we can take back the country if need be. And I'm not calling for a civil war, but that's what's setting up with some of the things that we're looking at here. Yeah, well, I see what you wrote there. I can't read all the cons of it, but there's a lot of cons with the socialism. I agree with you. Incited by the words of those in power. Right, Brenda. Was it those in power to push Antifa in, or was it those in power to push in the Trump supporters? Right? Not a civil war, a revolution. Civil is against the people. Okay, you're right. Absolutely. Right? It was a revolution. Right? Civil war was North and South, but that's maybe without the geography there, maybe where it heads. So, folks, you've got to sit back wide-eyed and make sure you know what's going on, right? The market's going to tell the tale, regardless of your political opinion. The markets are going to tell the tale, right? The ultra wealthy, the 1% is just that, the 1%. That's all they are. It's the 1%. It's a small number of individuals, right? The people that fall under that get above the poverty level, And even poverty level is disgusting, right? How low that is. But get above the poverty level, that's where the biggest effect is going to be taking place in there. The ones that are below poverty level will get the greatest benefit from it. Understand, I'm not opposed to them being, made better. So I said the poverty level is disgusting. I think, what was it, 35 or 38 grand a year? Exactly. We're lucky. No one's exploded suicide vests in the Capitol building. Yeah, but they got the picture of the guy in Pelosi's office. They said they arrested him or are arresting him. Yeah. What's really sad is they knew it was coming. They should have been more prepared for Wednesday. Well, and that's the concern there, Daniel, right? Did they know it was coming and knew it was Antifa and purposely didn't prepare? That's my concern when we get into stuff like that. Right? That really concerns me, right, with that. So here's the great thing. Tax us. Raise the tax on stock. What is it called? Capital gains. Raise the capital gains. Which again is really meant to be the wealthy. I'm not trading stock per se, and when I am, I'm primarily doing that in my IRA account, so I don't have to worry about that. It's a Roth, and I'm not worried about the taxation in there because go for it, baby. Absolutely go for it. I'm not worried about it being taxed in there because it's a Roth. I've already paid the tax on that money, so I don't have capital gains to deal with in there. It's the ultra wealthy they're dealing with those buying stocks and holding for the most part, not only, but for the most part. For us, if you're trading options, you don't deal with that. It's ordinary income. Now, it's a whole different ball of wax, and that's where entity structuring and setting yourself up properly and all that great stuff are a big part of it. Right. Yeah, you're right. There were permits for the march, which are legal, but not for entering the building, not for the destruction. I'm sorry, it just looks a lot like Antifa all over again. That we condemned Antifa a while back and said it wasn't the protesters. Now we just threw it right to the protesters this time. Options are short term, which is ordinary income. Right. Absolutely. It's ordinary income. So it's a matter of how you trade, where you're structured, and so forth. We may do something next year. No, we are next year, aren't we? We may do something this year on entity structuring, some of that stuff. I know some of you guys worked with Dale on getting yourself structured and protected with your assets and setting those up and putting them in places that can't be touched, which is important. So hopefully those of you that are there, and those of you who have not, start. I know Dale's supposed to come back this year and do some more trainings for us with that. So guys, look at the markets. That's the most important thing right now. Right? Are we still staying above that 3,800? We are. We're in lunchtime. Don't worry about this flat sideways move. We've got a little bit of resistance happening in here. Not a big deal. Came, in lieu of this support yesterday. Right? Not a big deal. We're again at lunchtime. Let's see where the day ends. If we could stay above the 3,800, to me, it's a home run. If we could stay up there. Yeah, Keith said entity structuring would be awesome. Yeah, we're going to do something with it, Keith. Got a gap to possibly fill. Maybe it's a long time already, Brenda. It could fill by the end of the day. That's very possible. It was a big gap on the S&P, right? Dropped down to 37.95, so about 30-point drop on the S&P. Can fill, right? For sure can fill. I've got to see if I've got gap stats on the SPX. I've never really looked at it from the market standpoint. That'll be interesting. Okay. All right. So give me some stocks you want to take a look at. Go. Micron. And we looked at Micron the other night as one of the possibilities. We did our first ever Friday night training, which was a mastering the trade for those that are in the power options plays. We do an advanced or a bonus live section every 6-ish weeks. We do that. And one of the things we did here, we'll look at some candidates to potentially change from last year. And we did it based on our numbers. We broke down our stocks. And let me ask you, let me see if I can get this open. I don't know where it's going to pop up. So let me just see. All right, bear with me a second. All right, good. So let me get back to that. Okay, so this was the P&L that we came up with, and I said that because Tripp had put Micron in. This is the P&L that we came up with that I came up with for our various candidates that we traded last year in power option plays, right? And you can see what the P&L was. You can see the P&L by the total trades, by if we took a 10 contract or a 4 contract trade. We didn't do anywhere near as good in the 4s, but they still I have other pages that have the financials on those. But you know, when I took this then and I break this down, and I usually try to do it more than once a year, but I do it at the end of the year for sure to see what's happening in there. And when I broke this down and came up with this 1,635,321 in our practice trades, and said, okay, that's great that we're up that much money. How much were we up on every single, or down, were we up on every single stock that we traded, right? How powerful do you think it is to take 1 year's data, 270-ish some art candidates? How powerful do you think it is to do that and find from every single company exactly what that meant for us P&L wise, knowing how much we made off of Apple, what our average trade for Apple was, what our average P&L is, our average cost or profit and loss, how much did we lose on our Apple trades on average, how much did we make on our Apple trades on average, right? Trade tracker closed. Let's see. So here. So would that be something that would be valuable to have that information, right? So here we've got 279 lines. The first 3 were headers. So 276 trades we did last year. Of those 276 trades, each one of them, right? And here's just the last couple of them, but each one of these is what produced that 1,635,321, right? So we went through and analyzed all of the positions from last year to come up with our numbers. And those numbers told us what stocks to keep and what stocks to get rid of. Micron was one of them that we talked about as a potential of, do we want to go ahead and add Micron in as a candidate? And we had very specific candidates, 2 of them, that we were trying to replace. So Micron didn't quite fit the bill of what we were looking for, but still a great stock. And look what it did. Tripp, we talked about this the other day of bouncing off of that 77, and that's exactly what happened. And I don't know, let me see. Let me really zoom in for you if you can't see that candle today, right? We got the bounce off 77.10, 79.83 is resistance. Let's just get a kicks and giggles. What was our high? 79.79, 4 pennies, 4 cents is what we're looking at right now as our, how much we missed hitting that line by. Right? As far as I'm concerned, it nailed it. Within 4 cents, we nailed it. What a great trade if the setup was there for the bounce off the 77.10 and the move up to the 79.83. What a great trade. So the setup was there already today, Tripp. We already got a great move on it for today. Okay? For now, I'd need to pull back to the 77 and the bounce if I was looking for a new bullish trade. But I would be looking at the 77 bounce, the 79.83 and the 82.03 would be our 2 targets on the upside on Micron. Yeah, so Jim said it's a lot of days away, but the next fib number on the S&P is 4181. Right, so if I scrunch down, there's our 4181 level. So you're right, we definitely have some room to move in there, right? And this brown line, Jim, is our midpoint, right? The 33.8250 off of this line, the 25.84, and this line, that's our midpoint, right? And then could you go ahead and get midpoints in between there, which puts us right about where we are now. Like dogs of the Dow, dogs of WBHQ, yeah. Exactly. So Micron, I like it, Trip. I mean, it had a great move today. Get the pullback, and I'm good for another one. If you're in the trade, then you know where the next target is. You're out of half it already. QQQ. Let's see. QQQ. This has got to be Brenda, right? Yes, it is. Okay. So on QQQ, Brenda, we had a great close on Friday, the pullback and bounce today. Could you have taken the potential day trade off of the 316.21? Possibly. Possibly. I would rather see the 8 moving average there, but that doesn't negate that you don't take a trade. That just means it's not as strong as if I have a confluence of a moving average and a fib line in there. But it doesn't negate it at all, right? If we here, let's do this. Let's go look at this is QQQ 316.21. Let's see. 316.21, 316.21, 316.21. I won't remember it. I didn't write it down. I've got to grab a pad to move over. So, Brenda, if you look, we had to move up, pull back, move up, right? Here, maybe iffy, right? Here, we closed down. Here in the retest, yep, right about 11:30 was the opportunity to take the bounce off of here. So you're in the trade at, I don't know, 316.36, and you're at 317 right now. So there's opportunity for the day trade for sure in there, okay? All right, Robert put in, well, actually, let me take this back, sorry. So if you are taking it, Brenda, 319.29 is resistance. Just keep that in mind. So you definitely have some nice room to move. Plug, P-L-U-G. Is our next one. Whew, God almighty, Robert. Just paying for college with this one, my friend, I know. So what are we looking at here? You know, just great move. They got an influx of cash. What a great move. A little bit of pullback and a bounce. Actually, we can redraw fibs on this one now because of that pullback that took place. We've got a place to work off of. All right, so there's the Fibonacci levels drawn in there. So we're looking at 49.94, Robert. Same thing, you know, if we found a bounce up, and it's assuming that today's candle, well, it's not going to matter. Today's candle will work no matter what. But 49.94, so on plug, where are we with that 49.94 level? $49.94, we closed up, we pushed down, possibly in there. If you were trying to take the bounce off it, that would be the candle right inside of there. Or that wick stretched down in the bounce before it really took off today. But nice move intraday. But Robert, I know for you it's a little bit longer term. You've been looking at this one. So plug, is there a 3-gap move on a chart like MNRA does? Wait, is there a 3-gap move on chart like mRNA did a few weeks back? I don't know. Let's see. So yeah, when you get up and you get your continuation, you get your breakout gap, right? You got a continuation gap, right? And then we kind of failed from there. So it was the exhaustion is really what it came down to. Even that little one there, that's what it was. That was an exhaustion gap before getting that pullback. Exactly, Jim. Exactly. Let's see. Let me make this chat box longer. All right, Baidu. So I hope that helped there, Robert. Baidu, Trip was asking for Baidu. So great overall move on Baidu, that's for sure. They've had some great, outstanding opportunities. Let's see, that pullback there, it bumped its head on ugly at the -618. Big drop, you know, for today. Wow, 15 points. So, you know, could you look intraday still? I would look for the move back to 227.41 in the fail. Possibility of 219.84, call it 220. but it's had such a big move today. You've got to ask the question, how bad was the news to drive it down? But that's where I see it going if it does go next. Shopify, SHOP, Keith is asking for. So let's see, Keith. Let's go over to template number 1. We do not have a Fibonacci drawn on here. Let me grab some drawing tools, or a drawing tool. I can only use one at a time. Here's a V bottom. It's kind of a sideways move, and then we get I guess a V top, but not really, because this was all sideways. We get this move up here, and that's a clear V top, right? So based on that, let's go draw the fibs. Let's come down to this bottom, to this top. So the very first step when you're drawing the fibs, to me, is if you can, draw on it with a pencil, a marker, a pen, whatever drawing tool you have available in a program. Draw on it freehand with that so you can visually see what's going on. That looks like a V bottom, but I don't really have a V top, right? It's really a sideways pattern that was happening in there. That big candle down just brought us back into the same realm of the pattern we were in, right? That gap, we came right back up, so that negates it, and then we ran. All right, so the first step is draw it out with a pencil, right, or a marker, some kind of drawing tool if you can. Second step is draw the fibs from the lowest low to the highest high. Jot these down. Step 1, draw it out with a pen or a marker, right? Step 2, draw the fibs from the swing, in this case, a bullish move, swing low to swing high. That's the lowest low of that candle versus the highest high of that candle. Step number 3 is see, do we need to split our levels up? In other words, is there enough room for this puppy to go? We have got a fibit of, and it's right here, 103.84. We'll call it 104, right? Is this distance greater than 104? 1189 to 1285. Well, that's less than 100, right? So I don't need to split that level. What about up above? 1285 to 1395. That's 110. 110 is greater than 104. I need to split this level in half. I happen to have them pre-programmed in here, but if you don't or don't want to, or your software doesn't allow it, then just go ahead and split the levels in half. So 1340 is our upper level. All right, now that we have this, I do not need 100-point levels because we're over 100 on our Fibit, so we don't add hundreds in here. So we're going to go back to template number 2. And here we are. So Keith, all right. As we look at this, look at where the 8 moving average is now and look at where the stock is sitting at right now. It's a tough call to say, let's take the trade. You see the breakout that happened today and the pullback? How much of that is a here kitty kitty, right? We gapped down a little bit, we pulled down a little bit or dropped a little bit, and then we ran from there. We ran up to the high of the day and we've backed off almost to the 1189.57 level. That concerns me a little bit. Now, tomorrow we close above that 1189.57 tonight. Tomorrow we come back and bounce off it and retest. Absolutely. I'm all over it like white on rice or brown on rice. I guess I don't eat white rice anymore. Brown on rice, right? I'm all over it, right? Why? Because the opportunity is there. Now, is it a great opportunity? No, the moving average should be there. If my moving average was up here, then it would be an awesome setup. With where the moving average is right now, the setup is okay. It's not great, but it's okay. It's okay. All right, I hope that helps. Let me just go check on these. Yeah. Oh, God. Well, so Jim was asking about plug back on plug in. Does it have the exhaustion gap going on right now? So remember, you could have a continuation gap, a continuation gap, a continuation gap over and over and over again, right? You can have multiple continuation gaps. In many cases, you get 2 continuations before you get an exhaust, right? We've got 2 now. I can't say, yes, that's it, but this could be it right now, Jim, depending on what this candle does. Does it pull? If it pulled back to where it opened today, yeah, it looks like we're more of an exhaustion gap than we are of a continuation gap. Let's see. John's asking for Etsy. And I know someone else asked for it also. on Etsy, right? What a great move today. We talked about this today when we had our team meeting on how phenomenal this move was, right? I mean, look where it closed. If we break in on this here, let me do it this way. Whoops. Right? We closed above the moving average on Friday. We're there. We're in a bullish move, bullish bias on Friday, a true bull. Now we've got our resistance right up above, which was that 178.55. So that's a little bit concerning of having that in there. But could you have waited for the move above the 178.5, a retest and a bounce? Absolutely. That 184 is the first target. And then 196 is our next one, 84.96, 12 points. Yeah, I don't need to split this level. So my next target is 196 quarter. But Rob, I didn't catch this trade today. Let it close out the day, bounce off the 184 level, look at the 196 and a quarter as resistance. If you're leery about letting it go that far, split this in half, whatever that is, about 190-ish, 191, 89, whatever, 89 maybe, whatever it is, right? Whatever that level splits in half at would be your first target. What do we have there? 12 points, so 6, so 190. So 190 would be your first target if you're leery about letting it go all the way to 196. Hope that was helpful. New fib. It broke. Yeah. So, okay. So Will wrote, does it need a new fib? It broke the negative 618. Yes. We just don't really have one. Well, I mean, I guess that's not true, is it? Right. We do have that V bottom right in there. So, all right. Valid point. Well, didn't even catch it. Good catch on your part. Good job with seeing that. I wasn't even paying attention to the negative 618 break. But we're in almost the same exact place, ironically, right? 184.18, 183.20. We'll look for the bounce off of that level. The nice thing is we know on a previous fib, we've got a confluence there right now for that. So good catch on that. Well, all right. So that was Etsy. Paula's asking for TTM. Woo, my goodness gracious. Oh, Tata Motors, Tata for now, right? Earnings coming up. You know, they are. This is a Chinese company or Japanese company. Is that correct? Yeah, just got to follow the rule. There you go. Well, absolutely. Does anybody know of Tata? I think they're a Chinese company. They're Indian? Okay. Tata Motors. Manufacturers. Mumbai. Okay, that's better. Will. So it is an Indian company. Thank you for all of you that jumped in with that. So it's an overseas company where I thought Asian or Japanese, but it's an overseas company. You saw the little gaps in there. That's because their markets open up already, and we catch up on our open price gaps every day. That makes it a little bit scary with that. I don't really have a V top to work off of, right? I've got previous resistance and support that I can snap in right here. So that bottom and that top give us some resistance at about 1730, but I'd be a little cautious, and I don't know the news based on it from today, but I'd be a little cautious on that move. But 1730 is where I see it could go. If this was great news out on it today, let's see, what do Tata's options look like? Options are not fantastic. That is always a problem, right, Jim? Options not fantastic. It's like they should take anybody not optionable in the market and say you can't play any longer. Yeah, sorry. Come on, open up. All right, top 10. It's like, why exist if you can't be optionable? All right, so it's TTM, it's not Tata. Okay, parameter incorrect. Shows you how much I traded, right? So, I mean, front week, there's plenty of open interest. Good volume today with the move it made. Plenty of open interest. Wow. All right, looks like they just wrote the halves because we're barely getting volume in there. Let's go and look out a month from now if you wanted to try something further out. We've got an 83 delta. We're going to on a $13 position, $13 call. So where's my intrinsic on here? I don't have intrinsic on this column here. So what do we have? We'll call it $3. We're looking at 13 to 15.62. So there's not a lot of time in there for 4 weeks from now, right? For that 39 days. My guess is the weekly doesn't have much. Yeah, we're going to have to go to a full monthly option on a longer term. You know, if you look at the next week's weekly, probably nothing in there. You look at the April's, you've got a lot more open interest, right? I'd actually be more inclined to go to the 14s at 265, but give myself another month of time, 2 months of time, depending on the trades you're trying to do. So they're okay. Let's see, where were they yesterday? So they were down at 13 and a half, let's call it. Wow. I could sell a $13 put for 11 cents. No, it's Delta. My bad. For 15 cents. Holy mackerel. Something tells me that's wrong, though. See the 10 by 20, you might get a dime out of it because that's where it's listed, but everything else is 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. So, and there's huge open interest on that puppy right now. Right? So, if that's your gig and it's $13, right? So where's 13? 13 is lower than yesterday's close. So we're talking about selling a put that's down here. I don't know. I like it. I like it. Okay. Give me a second on that, Karen. I'm still going back and grabbing some of the older ones that were in there. So Wendy's asking for AMD. Wendy, are you in collusion with Tripp and trying to get his candidates in for him? Is that what it is? All right, AMD is in a bit of a, okay, we broke out of it today. I would say it was in a bit of a channel. I forget that there's a slight delay with it popping up here. Let's see, F11 is scrunched down. So we've already made a huge part of the move, Wendy, on this, right? We broke out of the recent swing highs we had there, which are the all-time highs that we had, right? So we're at an all-time high right now, where we, you know, on high price and even all-time. If you looked at this as the close, where our current prices we are, we've got earnings coming up, which is a no-no. Be careful there. Day trade only, bounce off the 96.82 with 100 as your resistance on AMD. Shane was asking for SIGL. Okay. So first thing I noticed, I can't tell on this at all, Shane, but it looks like the stock is not very old. And the reason for it is the 21 moving average is just starting in September. So I go back a little bit and we're looking at July of 2020, maybe June, but beginning of July is when this opened up. Who is this? Sprott Inc. Can someone tell me what they do? Sprott Inc. Because what they're doing is losing a lot of money. I mean, they opened up in the $38, $39 range. They're at 29 right now. You've got a little bit of a sideways formation happening in there, Shane, but I am leery to say anything bullish, and we don't have history bearish to give it numbers. I can, you know, confidently say we've had a triple top in here, quadruple. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, we keep bumping our head on ugly. Just not looking good, right? So you can identify a small channel in there between 28.90 and 30.70. Let's call it 30.90. So about $2 of movement in there, but caution grasshopper with this one. TAS has no info. Yeah. Okay. So I wouldn't be trading it. Just not a fan of it, Shane, just because of what it's done. Baba, keep asking for Alibaba. Right, one of the candidates on our pop tracking sheet. We have it down as a day trade. Keith, for on our tracking sheet. With a market down today, if we got to move up to the 233 level and a fail, I would be all over it as potential bearish trade. Let's see, 233 down to 221, so that's 12 points. I don't need a fib in here. I don't need to split that level in half. But just for argument of the trade, I would probably take half it off at the midpoint. Since we have lived there, look, this was on Wednesday. Right here, look at our close, look at Thursday, look at Friday's open, look at today's low. We all fall in the same realm right in there. Right? Just a little bit low on that. Okay. Right about in there. Okay. So I would probably, and that's about the midpoint. I would probably scale out of half the trade at the midpoint and then the other half at the 221 level. Precious metals and the fight against COVID. We explore how precious metals are helping medically combat the virus. Apparently, it's not working well. So, but I appreciate that, Sarah, for that one, for them, for Sprott.com. Wow. Okay, what a name. Sounds so nice. They named it twice. Let me see. Let me go back because now I'm kind of all over the place with looking at for candidates. Twitter. Mike was asking for Twitter. All right, guys. If I haven't looked at your candidate, drop it in again. All right, I can't keep going back. The list is too far now for me to see. No, that's not Twitter. That's Twitter. Right? Good. Listen, I hope they go freaking out of business with what they're doing, selectively choosing what to and what not to promote, right? I mean, you are seeing people leave it in droves, good or bad, I don't know. Is it temporary? I don't think they're going out of business. Is it temporary? Yes, it's temporary. They'll go back. It's no different with Facebook right now. Facebook's getting punished for what's going on. A buddy of mine who's a major marketer on there said he is crushing it with how low he's paying. Never paid this low before. And this is a guy that drops 30, 40 grand a day in Facebook ads. He's never paid this low before unless the very beginning of Facebook for ad spend as he is right now because of Facebook getting a thrashing price-wise. So you can see where we are. If we got we close above the 49.5 level, let's say today, and we get a bounce tomorrow, I'd look at 52 as resistance because you've got plenty of room in there to go. On Twitter, I'm going to take it down to the bottom of the page again, where I can try to grab. So Amos said, how do we justify all the display of Mealy last summer, the protest, last week's melee at the Capitol and the riots? Who decides which one is different? Exactly. The news decides. Brenda, what happened to Bitcoin? Hell, what happened to Bitcoin to drive it to $41,000? There's no value in it. There's nothing in there at all. I mean, I am hearing the stupidest things in the world come out of people's mouths today. Stupidest. Dumb things coming out of people's mouths today. They had a guy on CNBC who is an investor in Bitcoin who said this is the new Black America Bitcoin. I have absolutely no clue what the hell that even means except to try to use a catchphrase. What in the world does that mean? I mean, how can you tell me that if you are the government, you continue to say that people of color have a lower economic status and we need to bolster them up, and I'm all for it, 1,000,000% all for it. But you can't do that and in the next breath say Bitcoin, which is a higher risk position. How high risk? It lost 25% overnight. It went from $41,000 to $31,000 within the last couple of days, right? From the last time I checked, it was on last week, the end of last week. But what major stock drops 25% overnight if it's not a news event, COVID hitting, 9/11 hitting? I mean, CEO embezzling money, whatever, bankruptcy. Who drops 25%? You don't. So to say Bitcoin, right now, we don't even have a good rhyme or reason as to the why it's doing what it's doing. I think there are cryptocurrencies that are much better than Bitcoin. Bitcoin has limitations to it. How it's so expensive to mine it now. How many are even available, right? All of these things are concern at this point. So, all right, let's see. All right, Karen was asking for Lulu. Let's see. Let's get a little bigger picture, see where my fibs are. We broke the negative 618. All right, so let me pull this back. Let me get rid of this ABC in here. Let's put a new fib in. Oh, no, wrong tool. Forgot I used that. All right, now let's go to F5, and there we are. So if we can get, Karen, if we can get a close above the 372, look at the power that would be, because the last 3 days we've attacked it and not been able to sustain. When we've broken above before, even if we don't need a fib in here, Karen, when we've broken above before, we have had a resistance at that midpoint. So we're going to put in an 882. And look, we ran into it once and failed. We ran into it twice and failed. So Karen, for me, if any trade at all, close above, retest 372, bounce, 385, is resistance. So somewhere below there is the target. And the second target is that 398 resistance, rather. Somewhere below that is the exit. All right, I hope that helps. CAG. So lots of support here. We broke it. I don't really have a great place to draw a fib. That one is violated already. We can draw it from here, but we've already, well, actually, that's okay. That's okay. So let me go to 5, 6. All right. So we've got a good fib in there. We violated the 764. We got a great Fibonacci 4-step trade. We got another bounce off 764. And now we broke, closed up near it and failed. Had we seen this one prior, and who was CAG? Daniel, it would have been a great opportunity had we seen this one prior, right? For today, meaning. Broke down below that 34-ish level. Let's see, 34, 18. Yeah, so broke down below the 34 level for the opportunity in with 32.5 as target. Amos is asking for Netflix. All right, so Netflix, what did we list it down as? We had, it's earnings. Oh, yeah, they've got earnings. They're the first one on our list that has earnings coming out. And that's pretty much every year. They're the first one every year that has earnings announcements. Right, of our stocks, of our main 20 in there. Yeah, so right now, what do we have it as? It's bearish, neutral. With where it is now, it's bearish. It's got to break the 500 level, though, Amos, for me to want to do anything with it. Even though we're there, we do have the 8 below the 21, which means we are allowed to take bearish trades. Look what earnings is. They're only going to be day trades. Let's see. All right, Richard, you're not saying this sarcastically, right? Riot? You're not being a wise guy or anything, right? Just checking. Okay. Wow, what a pullback today. Holy mackerel. Oh, big pharma. All right. And I don't know about big, but they're pharma. So, again, tough call. Let's go back and look historically. Well, we've got it. I mean, we've been up there. Wow. $46 Holy mackerel, we were at $3,500. Have they done splits or something? 1 for 5, 1 shares to give you 5, 1 for 6, 1 for 8. So, all right, here's the first thing that I see with this, Richard. When you have a reverse split, it's never good for a company, right? And that's what all of these were. 1 for 5, they gave you 1 share for every 5 shares you had. That tends to see the stock price drop from there. And notice, ever since we started those, we're in that $23 range. I'd be a little cautious on them. I don't know why, what caused the run up in here and the pullback, but it could just be the one drug wonder type thing. Riot is blockchain, formerly Bioptics, focusing on gaining exposure to the blockchain ecosystem through its cryptocurrency mining operations. So pharma biotech, that's interesting. That may not be accurate. They're a crypto miner, big due to the Bitcoin gain. Ah, okay, good to know that, Will. Riot is Bitcoin. Yeah, I'm so removed from it. And guys, I still have some Bitcoin. I still have some right now. I've had it for a couple of years now. It's kind of in a wallet, just off doing its thing, not really paying attention to it. Thought was, I had sold a lot of it already. If I can get back what I spent, which well over that before it had this run up, would have been it. But would I be investing in it today? It's really tough. Yeah, might be, Robert. It might very well be. AMC. We're kind of getting to the end of them, guys. Yeah, $2 stock. It's a hope and a prayer if you're trying to play these movie theaters type stocks. If they file bankruptcy, everything you have is garbage. So just keep that in mind. Riot and Mara have been good options trades in the blockchain arena. And, I started going ahead after my friend Steve, which I don't see him in here today. Maybe he is, but he normally chimes in. After my friend Steve had mentioned the other day about crypto stocks to watch, he mentioned PayPal was one of them, right? So here's your list. Write them down. PayPal, PYPL. MSTR, which is MicroStrategy. Square, which is SQ. NVIDIA, NVDA. Amy, drop that link back in, please. Grayscale BTC, which is George Boy Thomas Charles, GBTC. And AMD. They all have value around them, around the cryptos, all right? They all have value around moves of the crypto, of Bitcoin. So you might be able to trade some of these in lieu of some of the cryptocurrencies themselves, the actual currency. You might be better served with these than you would with the actual crypto itself. Guys, Amy dropped a link in there. I know some of you weren't here in the beginning when I said it, but there is a 6-day summit coming up. It's called Wealth 365. They have asked me to come on and speak on their big stage. There's like $65,000 worth of prizes being given away. We've donated $3,000 of our tools that we're giving away. It's going to be for three different traders who win them. It's a huge summit. I'll be speaking for the very first time. I will be there on the 20th at 4 p.m. is my time slot. But go ahead and get yourself registered for it, folks. Help us out with using the link that Amy dropped in there, and register yourself up. There's all kinds of great things that you're going to see in there. It's a great opportunity to watch some of the best traders that you're going to find in the world are going to be up there, right? So you want to definitely take advantage of that event when, if possible. And it is a long event, folks. So it's 6 days. So you've got some chances in there to see some individuals and watch them do their thing. So to fit around your schedule. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I think we are done. Hey, was today's training good? Was it worth what you paid for it? That was a bad question since you didn't pay anything for it. Okay. Awesome as always. All right. Always get more than what we paid for it. Good. Can I get a refund? Of course, Robert. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a great rest of your day. God bless. And I will see all of you. Remember, next week, holiday on Monday, so all Monday classes are canceled. We'll have it adjusted on the calendar today, which means no power hour, no E-mini think tank on Monday. So it's a regularly scheduled holiday. And if you have some questions, folks, send an email into support. They'll be happy to help you. I'd love to get you guys on. Some of you are at the point where you need some help trying to figure out what you need to do next to get your trading to the next level. I think the best way for you to do that is send an email to support, and either Amelia or Lisa will work with you guys, getting on the calendar and getting a meeting scheduled with you to try to help you guys out. All right. I'll leave the room open for a couple of minutes so you can grab that link to the Wealth 365 event. If you lose the link or forget to register, please email us and use the one that we have so we can keep track of those of you that registered, because we've got something special we're looking to do with that as well. All right, have a good day, and thank you, Amy, for dropping that in. I appreciate it. There's the email for support, and I will see all of you at our next update. Again, I'll leave the room open for a little bit so you can grab the links. Talk to you soon.